We're live from Redhook. We got a very special guest DJ tonight. I'm Mike Gentile, along here with Anthony Vitale. And we would like to introduce to you a very special guest tonight, DJ Chachi. What's up, man?
How's it going, guys?
Chachi, my man. Thanks for coming to the Function House.
Thanks so much for having me.
Welcome down.
Appreciate it.
So what's going on, man? Let's talk about where it all started, like early days of Chachi.
Early days, I've been DJing for almost 20 years. I started DJing when I was 14 in high school. I had some older cousins that were like your house party DJs back in the day.
Name some older cousins. Let's hear this.
Like it was John and Anthony. I mean,
John and Anthony.
Italian, you know?
So wait, you're from Long Island, right?
I am. I'm from Long Island, Car Place. And I used to help them carry their stuff into their parties, and I would stand in the back while they DJ'd, and I would watch each song be played and the reaction from the crowd, and it was kind of amazing because they would drop a record and everybody would play, oh my God.
So they were doing mobile parties, right?
Yeah,
like
back
Sweet
in the day.
16s and stuff like that?
What year was this?
96, yeah,
Okay.
something like that, 96. So
High
then,
school days.
Yeah. I used to ride my bike over to their house, and I would use their turntables, whatever, and I would practice. And then they eventually gave up, and they gave me all their stuff. So after school, you know, I would put my cassette in, and I would record the same thing over and over, and then I would listen to it in the hallway.
So you must have tons of freestyle.
And people kept giving me their record collections. I have like 30,000 records. My parents hate me.
That's great.
It's all in their garage.
Yeah, I get those phone calls. Come take your records.
Yeah, what are you going to do with them?
Can't you sell them, make any money?
No, you
Nah,
can't
you
sell
can't.
them.
No, that's what my father says. That's
Yeah.
it,
He says the same thing every time I see him. He says, there's records in the garage. I basically have done everything from the bottom up. Like I started doing like middle school dances, and then like teen nights in Long Island, which is where I met some of the guys I work with now, like Rick Wonder. Through the 18 and over parties, like I used to play Exit back in the day when I was 18. I did the mobile thing for a couple years when I was a kid, the weddings and the bar mitzvahs and what have you.
You ever looking to jump back in? Let us know.
So you used to work for Body Rock, right?
That's correct. Yeah,
They're still a very prominent DJ company.
Yeah,
on
they're
Long
still
Island.
big in Long Island. They were like they had the house account for all the Scotto Brothers places.
Yep.
And then when I was 23, I started doing this club, which is now Bounce. It was called Vela.
Yep.
And I used to do that Friday nights, and I made one CD, and it was when AM like kind of first came out, and it was Prince and rock and 80s and all this stuff. I wasn't going out in the city, so I made one CD, and I got so many phone calls, and I literally just started working.
So I guess that CD was terrible.
I don't know.
What was on that CD? Was it like an open format CD?
Yeah,
you made?
it was. I mean, it wasn't even open format back then.
It was just, yeah, it was just.
No one knew what to call it. Mashup didn't even exist yet.
Yeah.
And then I started DJing in the city. Like I was doing like stereo on Tuesdays. I was doing home on Thursdays. And then at that time, this guy Alan Phillips was managing me.
Yeah.
And he was hired by the Borgata as a consultant when Murmur opened. So we're like 2005 now, and his job was to find a resident DJ. So I went down there, I had a few auditions, I got the job, and then I was in Atlantic City Friday, Saturday, and I would stay there on Sunday and DJ Monday as well, like Murmur Mondays.
Wow.
Like I used to do that, and then I would come back to the city. I was still living home. Come back to the city, do stereo on Tuesdays. I eventually moved to 10 June on Thursdays, and then I would just do it again. Should I keep going?
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah. Story's good. So
That was before Mood Swing, right?
Yes, this was before Mood Swing, and that's actually how I met Ricky, because Mood Swing booked all the DJs at Borgata.
Yep.
So when I was like, I would talk to my boss back then, and I was like, how do I be like these guys coming in? And that's when I met everybody. I met Vice and AM and Five and Obi-Wan and all the original Scam guys, Kevin Scott and the Deckstar guys and Steve Aoki, and we met everybody.
So Alan Phillips was like the first promoter to put you on in New York City.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So my boss then was like, well, the guy that books the DJs at Borgata, this guy Ricky Greenstein, you should talk to him. So we had a phone conversation, and he was like, yeah, whenever I book you, I get 20% or something like that. And I said, hey, it's really nice to meet you. Thanks so much. Take a walk. Because I was like, no.
And then he had you back in, right?
So eventually, because I was still the resident there, and eventually he explained how it worked more and more, because, I went back to my dad, and he was like, you're going to give this guy 20%? No.
So he wanted 20% of what you had going on already?
It would be 20% of everything, so I was already obviously booking all my gigs on my own.
Yeah.
That was like my 10 June and my whatever, and stereo and everything. And I was like, those are my gigs. Get out of here.
But you worked something out with him because you were there for a while.
So we cut a different deal for like my New York stuff, and then I was signed to Mood Swings for about 5 years.
Yep.
And I traveled the world. We did a ton together. And then I've had a few different managers since then. And then last year, I signed to 4 AM last year. And then the company actually changed hands a few times while I was there, and now I actually own 4 AM.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
so
great.
Jusky and myself own the company now, so we represent 12 guys, 12 DJs. We have a few artists. We just signed a violinist. We just signed a photographer. So
More on the talent side besides
a little
DJ.
bit of everything. We want to cover all of our bases.
So how do you like being on the business side of it and the DJ side of it?
It's a lot. It's kind of exhausting doing everything, because you're doing days and nights, and DJs. There's a lot of personalities on that roster.
There sure is.
But I always felt like I could. I kind of knew what the buyers wanted. Now I know. Obviously, I know what the DJs want. But I know what the talent buyers are looking for and what's going to work for them in their rooms. Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Is it on?
You're good.
This is live, ladies and gentlemen. Shit like this happens.
I think it's great, actually. I know what the buyers want. I know what the DJs want. I know how to make everybody happy. I know how to make everybody money. And it's actually come really easy.
That's good, man. There's been some other stuff you've been involved in, like nightclubs and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I've invested in a number of nightclubs over the years, just because a long time ago, almost 10 years now, I was like, you can't DJ for forever.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know if I believe in that anymore. I think you could DJ for a long time.
I'm going to DJ till I'm 70. If I could still DJ when I'm 70.
Yeah, get it as like, 50 something.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a different market today.
Yeah, I don't think it's actually like a young man's game anymore. I think the
agree.
veterans have the connections and the relationships and the experience and a lot more of the know-how. A lot of these kids, they grow up, they know how to work Ableton and they know how to make records, but there's a lot more to the business.
There's a lot more DJs now than it was growing up.
Well, I think it's also like your roots, right? So like the way you came up in the DJ game, sort of like how you went through the mill of DJing the team parties and DJing like the wedding, the bar mitzvah circuit. Do you think that helped you in your music?
Yeah, absolutely. You can't put a price on experience. You just can't. These kids that are 16 and they've never ever been to a nightclub, never mind program a room, and people just throw them in the room because they have a hit record. Your product might not be that good, without that experience.
See, you just said it, program a room. I don't think anyone is programming their nights anymore.
I just had this conversation with somebody, and I always feel like DJing and we're reading the room is a lost art.
Yeah.
It just is. No one actually knows how to look up and go, you know what, these people aren't really feeling this, let me try this, let me do that. They know they have their sets pre-planned, they don't really have the skills to like go to something else or do something different or try something that they didn't have planned, and then your night is flat. My microphone not on?
Try this mic.
How about this one?
That's good. Yeah, so programming a night is like, it's there's some...
Nobody knows how to read a room anymore.
No.
And that's what we came up doing. And that's actually one thing that I learned from doing the mobile parties the most, was because, you had to make grandma happy and you had to make the kids happy and the bride and groom happy and what have you, but it applies to anything you DJ.
Yeah.
You still got to make everybody happy. DJing is not about us. It's about them.
Yeah,
Right.
100%.
which everybody has forgotten. You know, because the EDM guys, they play their songs or they play whatever they want, and no one has a say, and it doesn't matter if anybody has
See,
fun.
we spoke about this on a couple of shows about, you know, these short sets that these EDM guys are getting. You know, there's no room to play anybody else's music anymore. So it's that much harder to be a producer and get your music played because everyone has an hour slot at
That's
these
it.
shows.
Yeah, there's no room for me to squeeze in a new song or my favorite song. You're gonna hear the music that I made because my name's on the screen, and
Yeah.
that's really it.
So how do you feel about New York nightlife right now?
I'm actually not a fan of it right now.
Okay.
You know, I remember nightlife when it was fun.
So if you had to go back to a year in nightlife, would you say 2001?
Yeah, I would say pre-bottle service.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's most people's argument. You know, a lot of people, you can give bottle service credit because it gave us the opportunity to make a certain amount of money, but then it took the fun out of it.
Yeah.
Nobody comes to dance anymore, and then even now, especially with the changes in technology and the younger generations coming up and everybody's staring at their phones,
Oh my.
the vibe.
Well, we talk about the attention span. The attention span
It's gone.
of the crowd is just not there.
I worked Saturday night and the whole place was on Snapchat. I'm talking about you walk in the room and everyone has their phone and is just videoing themselves. Nobody's like trying to pick up girls, nothing.
Well, I mean, it's also because you don't have to, because you can swipe to the right and you'll be fine.
That's true.
I mean, like, that's another thing that I can't understand. You know, like dating on your phone or whatever, like all these different things, each one is taking away the excitement at the club
Yeah.
or people having fun, because no one is focusing on what's going on in front of them anymore. They're either trying to get a date, trying to get away from the date that they're on by getting another date, or they're videotaping themselves
Yeah.
singing. Which I don't care how old I am, which I'm not that old, but I'll never videotape myself singing a song to strangers. I don't understand. I don't get it. You know, I have nieces and nephews, and I'll never understand.
Yeah.
It's not
No.
like that.
I don't even think I have a selfie up. I don't think I ever put up a selfie.
You shouldn't do it.
No.
Don't do it. Once you start, you can't stop. It's
Yeah.
all-
So what are some of the parties that you play these days where you actually enjoy the crowd? Like, do you have some of those parties where the crowd's actually very good and into what you're doing?
I have a bunch of residencies all over the country, and one of my favorites right now is Flux in San Diego. And I don't know, it's the way the club is situated, because it actually reminds me of like a bigger Tenjune,
Yeah.
where the DJ booth is situated and the crowd is like just right in the middle, and the energy, people are just like down to party. No one is like too cool. No one's on their phone. People are like really dancing, and like, you know, when you hit that stupid button that says put your fucking hands up, like people really
Yeah.
do, and they get into it, and you miss that shit. That's why
Yeah.
we got into DJing,
Yeah.
to make people happy.
Because we're control freaks.
Well, I mean, it's
Well, there's
playing. So when you're playing at that party, I mean, it's like playing tennis with the crowd because you're feeding off of them.
Yeah.
Then they're feeding off of you. So
And
it's just like
2 hours goes by, and
it's
you're like,
like-
oh shit, the lights are on.
Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks, bye. Thanks for having me.
So talk about your production. You're like always in the, every time I talk to Rick, you're
Ugh,
like
we're
always in the studio.
I know, we got to get beds in there. Honestly. If we had a shower in the studio, we'd never leave.
Like my wife's favorite CD is Split Personalities. I was a little
Hey.
annoyed at first because I'm a DJ and your CD was
You know,
like a
you
favorite
married
CD.
me, okay? You don't have to. You can't.
But Split Personalities, is there like a part 3 coming out?
Thank you, Mrs. Vitale. Split Personalities, I do it every year.
Yep.
And this year was volume 7, I think.
Oh, you're up to 7?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
good.
been
So
that-
maybe she don't like
it's
it
been
anymore.
that. It's been that long. And it actually, Eugene Rem, who's part of EMM Group, came up with the idea because when we first started doing Tenjune back in 05 or something like that, the beginning of the night started out with like cool indie music, which being from Long Island, I never fucking heard of before.
Yeah.
And then as the night progressed, it got a little bit more aggressive in hip hop and house or whatever. So we used to make 2 discs, and one was indie and one was a little bit more commercial, whatever. And it's been one of my most successful mixtapes to date.
Yeah,
you
it's a
know.
great
Every
CD.
year, people are like, "Hey, when's it coming out?" Hey, and it comes out every year, New Year's Day. So New Year's Day when I'm hungover from my gig, I get up,
So is it something you work on throughout the year, or like just pick the
No,
best songs?
it usually takes me about a month because I have to. It's like the year in music.
Yeah.
So I have to like wait for everything to come out.
And then like, so December 1st, you'll start working on it.
Yeah, something like that. And then I gather as many acapellas and edits, and I put everything in this giant folder. It's a mess. I did it this year.
How long does it usually take you to put the CD together?
About a month, which is a really long time to work on kind of anything. Like a
Yeah,
month.
but the CD is
It's-
perfected.
You know, it's like hundreds of songs in 45 or 50 minutes.
Yep.
You know, weaved inside and out, and
So is it some of it, do you do live? Do you do a lot of it on the computer? How do you?
it's all done on the computer because all the mashups and edits that I have to
There's
do.
some
have to be in
serious edits on the
key.
CD.
Yeah, I mean, plus coming from like a production background, like I went to Five Towns College in Long Island for 2 years, and then I did the SAE Audio Engineering program. So coming from that background, it has to be perfect. It's part of my OCD. My apartment's clean every day, and my mix CDs they're all in key.
Oh, it's important though.
It's very
Especially if you're going to put your name to the production.
important. Right,
Yeah.
You want it to be
absolutely. If you're
right.
gonna put your name on it, it's got to be money.
That's the problem too. Like I have tons of stuff that I never put out because I'm like my own worst critic. That could like work against you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that like leads us back to like being in the studio. That's why we're there so long.
Yeah.
This snare, it's not good. It's not good. You got to keep EQing it. Hold on.
So what does your studio consist of? Like, what are you mixing on?
We do everything in the box. We run everything out of Ableton. I have 3 sets of monitors. 4 or 5 different sets of headphones for mixing and mastering and all that. But technology gives us the opportunity to do everything in the box, which means in the computer.
Yep.
And I learned on all the analog stuff and the SSLs and the Neves and.
Looks great.
It looks great. Don't get me wrong. It sounds great too, but like, I can't take that on a plane with me. I can't take that on the train with me.
Yeah, the technology is just amazing.
Yeah.
Right on the computer. You can make
Everything's-
tracks on the flight.
Yeah. Or edits for your gigs or what have you. You need that versatility.
Sure.
So what are some of the tracks you have out right now that are doing well?
I'm signed to Spinnin' Records out of the Netherlands, and the first single I did on that label is a remix of the 80s song Land Down Under. So it just passed like 1.5 million plays on Spotify,
Nice.
which has been great. And
How many records are you doing with them?
I have 2 more singles
Nice.
coming out, so we're still working on those right now.
So that's some serious numbers on Spotify.
They're great, yeah. And Spotify is a little bit of like unknown territory for me on how to promote or how to get things like with lots of plays. That's something new to me, but it's being added to all these playlists with all these followers, and it's just doing.
So the
really
name of the
well.
track is Land Down Under?
Yeah.
By DJ Chachi?
That's it. Chachi and Paige.
Okay.
My buddy Paige from Long Island and I worked on that one.
So talk to us how you got the name Chachi.
It actually comes from when I worked at Body Rock. So I worked at Body Rock and I was 17, and everybody that worked at Body Rock had a nickname. Like my boss, they called him the Polar Bear, and I was like, granted, he looked like a polar bear, but I was like, okay, like whatever. And they were like, you look like Scott Baio. We're gonna call you Chachi. And at the time, I just needed money, and I was like, I don't give a fuck what you call me. As long as my check clears, you can call me Susie. It's fine. I don't care.
And your name is Scott?
And my name is Scott, and Scott Baio, and I don't think that connection. I don't think it went that deep back then, but that's where Chachi came from. And when I introduced myself the first time, people go, "Who? What? But then, as soon as they like say it, they like it.
Yeah.
Then they Scott, no, we're not, no, Chachi. You're
Yeah,
Chachi.
it
You're not
works.
Scott.
It works. It definitely works.
Oh, okay.
That's like the hardest thing nowadays is picking a name. Like for like
Yeah.
these young DJs that are coming up, I hear some awful names. It's like just stick to your last name or first name or something.
I know. Well, it's kind of leading back to that, the real name. If you have like a kind of like a cool real name, or like picking something that sounds like a real name, like Calvin Harris. Calvin
Yes.
Harris is not his name,
Yeah.
but it sounds like
Sounds
sort
great,
of a real
yeah.
name, but it's
a good name.
It's a good,
Yeah.
strong name.
I
Even
couldn't
like-
pick a name. That's why my DJ name's my name.
Even like Jonathan Peters is a good.
Solid name. Like
Solid
Martin
name.
Garrix, he's lucky. That's his real name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DJ Atmosphere or
So
no,
going.
I hope
going
that's
back-
not a DJ Atmosphere. We're watching this.
There definitely is an atmosphere
Somebody
out there.
just wrote that down. He was like,
Shout out to DJ
I
Atmosphere.
love that name, bro. It's good. It's good.
Going back to like your 4 a.m. stuff, how do you How do you go about like finding new talent and signing new artists? Like, do
Well,
you scout? Do
you
people
basically
come to you?
Yeah, it's a little bit of all of the above because you're now an A&R, which we never had to be before,
Yeah.
and because of the internet and SoundCloud and all these different avenues that people can get in touch with us or put out their music, you're constantly scouring. Like, oh, I never heard this remix before. Who is this guy? Or like Shazam, boop.
Yep.
This thing's dope. You know, you're in the club. Oh wow, and then you reach out, and these guys could be from, you know, the ends of the earth. You never know.
Shazam is amazing.
They're all amazing. You know,
Yeah.
like, even like SoundCloud, giving us the opportunity to hear people's music from wherever.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and then communicate, collaborate. You know, like other programs like Splice, where you can basically share Ableton sessions or Dropbox.
Dropboxes, yeah.
You know, like I've collaborated with kids from like Australia,
Yep.
but because of technology, it's like it's nothing.
Yep.
It's not even a big deal. Go ahead.
So when you're playing live, your preferences, turntables, Serato, do you play with sticks at all? How do you usually go about that?
My preference is definitely Serato because no matter how many times I play with sticks, and I really enjoy playing with sticks because I don't have a laptop in front of me, and it gives me an opportunity to like interact with the crowd. You know, I'm much more into it. When I have my laptop in front of me, I'm a little bit distracted thinking about, you know, like 5 songs ahead
Yeah.
or trying to plan something like that. But Serato gives you, you know, versatility. I can play anything. I can change my mind. You know, sticks, you got to plan a little bit more. You got to kind of stick to a set a little bit more.
I mean, if the Pioneers had like a search bar on them, maybe it would be a lot easier to
That
use
would
sticks.
change the game for the CDJs
Yep.
if they had maybe like a Bluetooth keyboard
Yes,
connected to them or
exactly.
something, and we could search and just load. But and even now that the mixers are like more integrated into Serato, like I just got the S9,
Yeah.
and you don't really have to touch the laptop anymore.
All your cue points, everything.
Your cue point, you can search, you can scroll, you can flip through different banks or folders or subcrates or whatever. Like,
Did they send that to you, or you got to pay for it?
nah. I mean, I got a guy, so I got a good price. But I mean,
I got a guy.
He's Italian,
I
of
should
course he's got
I
a
should
guy.
have called. I should have called Pioneer and say, "Yo,"
Send it over.
and step on it.
So you're gonna play some music for us? What are you
Yes.
gonna get into?
Honestly, I don't know
Good.
because we can't. It's so tough to just play for yourself.
Yeah.
Because when's the last time you just played records you liked?
Well,
That's right.
this is like an open mic.
It's open
you know?
mic.
Yeah.
So
All
you
right.
Could, you could play
So-
whatever
So
you want.
That's what the Function House is all
All
about.
right.
to
So
just
it's
play whatever
Raining
you
Men
want.
is going to be first.
Oh God,
And
you're going
Sweet-
there.
I don't know
Sweet Caroline. Is
if you want to get hired again.
It's my first and only.
So
on, that's from the
where's your
Roots.
next
That's from the Body
where's your
Rockers.
next gig? Like what's
It's actually this Saturday in San Diego.
oh nice.
Yeah, I'm super excited to go out there.
When's your next New York gig?
Actually, I think I lied. I think I'm playing PhD this Thursday.
This Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Thursday PhD, Saturday San Diego.
You're pretty busy.
You know,
How do you manage to book DJs and still travel and DJ? Like
it's actually sort of worked out because when you have a manager, you always think your manager is doing nothing.
yeah.
You know, and then now that I'm in charge of it, I know, you know, exactly how much work I'm putting into it because my dates are my job. It's my career, and you know, it's been great that I'm driving the bus now.
Yeah.
So you pay yourself 20%.
20% goes back to the company. Yeah. But it's been great. You know, it's like anywhere I really want to work, like I just have to put in the hours of finding out that talent buyer, or you
Yeah.
know, weaving through my connections and trying to get to who books the DJs at that club. And it's basically however busy I want to be is how busy I can be.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really nice having the control again. You know, because for so many years you're like, are you really booking me, or are you just booking me at the same clubs?
See, you know, you being an owner of 4am is definitely it's special to the people that are on the roster because you know what it's like being booked and trying to get booked, and
Mhm.
so you could actually relate to the DJs a little more than someone who doesn't have to go through the same motions.
Yeah, I got, you know, a few people in the beginning were a little concerned about being managed by another DJ, and which I understood. because I didn't exactly have management experience or what have you.
Right.
But then after a little while and working with pretty much my right-hand man, Madison, they loved it because everything that I always wanted my manager to do, I now do. Whether it's like texting guys before their gigs, hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? Do you know what time you're going to be on? Or just being super responsive.
Yeah.
You know, when guys have problems or guys have computers crash or whatever, and like us actually just answering, well, just like that, they're so happy. You
See,
know?
I felt being on a roster with like a DJ owning the company, that there was sort of like a chain of command. Like if gigs come in, like who gets the gigs? Like let's say Madonna calls up for a birthday party and they need a DJ, who gets that gig?
It doesn't. There's no hierarchy for sure.
Who gets the gig?
We look at the schedule. Who's available? You know, we offer everybody that's available, and you know they ask us, well, how does this guy play? How does this guy play? And we explain everybody equally. It's just all equal. Everybody gets the same offers. All the buyers receive the same roster. Everything is equal. Like that was another thing because obviously the music business, people get screwed all the time.
Yeah.
And DJing or the DJ business, it's the same thing. You know, people have been sued about it, and there's a lot of things that have gone on. So one of the main things that I wanted to implement when I came in was transparency, which never existed. So it's like your accounting is transparent. It's like if you want to see your gigs, here are your gigs. You can log into the back end of our website. You can see all your gigs, where your money is, what's been paid, what hasn't been paid. Transparency is just something that has never existed. Or it's like if you want to be BCC'd on an email with a buyer, or you need to see emails.
Is that something you brought to the company?
Yeah.
That's great.
Because we're not hiding anything.
Because that's like the main concern of, I would say, probably
Everyone.
90% of the DJs.
Everybody's concerned. You know, if you're not super diligent with following up on your books, or which most DJs, to be honest, they're not. They're artists. They're their mind is elsewhere, or or they're recovering from the night before. Right.
Yep.
If you don't follow all the dollars and cents, things disappear.
Yeah.
Gigs go away, or you're like, oh, did I get paid for that? I'm not sure. Yeah.
Well, a lot of agencies are known for like booking out gigs for more money than.
Well, there's that.
Yeah. So that's good that you actually you have the option of showing like emails and stuff like that. Like that's unheard of.
Like, because it's just the way that I operate my life. I live my life the right way, and I can't. I have a guilty conscience. I can't lie. I can't.
Me too.
I just can't do it. I'm a horrific liar. So it's the same thing with business, and I would never want to screw anyone because I really
what goes around comes around.
I do
man.
believe in karma,
Right.
man, and it's the truth.
Yeah.
So I try to do right by everybody, and I want them to want to be on 4 a.m. If you don't want to be on 4 a.m. and you're not happy, I'll just terminate your contract right now, and we can go part our ways, and that's it.
But I think it's also important too in helping develop young careers, right? Because coming from where we came from in terms of growing up in the days we grew up as a DJ and going through all the trials and tribulations, a lot of these people don't have that experience, right? So to mentor some of these younger artists and sort of show them the ropes and the right way of doing it
Absolutely.
is a plus.
You're also, unfortunately, you're going to run into situations where people have been burned. I call it ex-girlfriend syndrome. It's like, they treat us like they're old management, and they're so, where's this, where's that, where's that?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, here you can see everything, and it's fine, but eventually you prove to them that you're not going to screw them.
And then it's a little easier.
Yeah, eventually everybody, loosens up a little bit, and they know. But trust is earned.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Yep. So when people call for a DJ, obviously there's going to be people that call specifically for DJ Chachi, and then you guys have, I guess, many clients that just call that want a DJ, and then that goes back to his question in
Yeah.
terms
Who's
of
available
how
and
do
stuff
you-
like
It
that.
really just goes by the schedule. Here's who's available. Here's their roster. Here's their resume. Here's where they play. Here's a mix online. People usually make their own decisions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Most of the people that are calling up, they have in mind who they want.
right.
a little bit. They're like, oh, he DJs at Avenue, or he plays at Marquee, or what have you. They're, oh, okay,
Yeah.
maybe I'll like that. And then there's some buyers that you have to sell them.
Yeah.
It's like this person happens to be available. He has residencies all over the country. He'll kill your room.
Yep.
And the other thing that has worked out amazingly is whenever I go play a room, so sometimes I'll go play a room for the first time, and it's specifically because I'll meet the buyer. I'll do a good job, and then I'll say, look, I know what works in your room. I'm never going to send you a DJ that doesn't work, because that doesn't make sense.
And you wouldn't just send a DJ that don't work. That's
Doesn't
just
make
bad
sense.
business.
Right, that's just bad business.
And
I'll
plus, you're
lose.
not going to employ DJs on your roster that just can't DJ.
There's that as well.
Right?
Right. Being a DJ, I set the bar high.
Yeah.
If you can play, great. If you can't, beat it.
That's great.
Right. Because, I mean, everybody can mix, everybody can scratch, but it's like putting it all together.
You know, the whole package is so hard to come by these days, especially because the whole package doesn't even encompass DJing anymore.
It's all
everything.
visual, right?
It's your social media, it's your brand, it's your look, it's, you know, it's all of the above. It's soup to nuts.
It's kind of sad because you
It
can have
is.
somebody who's like really good looking and has
Can't-
great branding,
can't
but
mix a
can't
salad.
mix, but
Right,
he's
yeah.
booked all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that's where, like we were kind of talking before, where like the game has changed so much, and I think the aesthetic aspect of it, or like kind of like the shallow aspect, like, you know, like the entertainment industry or DJing or what have you has always been shallow, and like we get that, but like
Yeah.
now with the introduction of a lot of female DJs or the model DJs, I mean men as well,
Yeah.
where their music doesn't exactly back up their look or something along those lines, but they're still getting booked. And they're
Right.
getting booked for a lot, you know, because they have Instagram followers or something like that. The social media numbers come into play. DJing itself has taken such a backseat to what buyers think will draw people.
Yeah.
And do you ever think it's going to come back?
I don't know. It's a good question.
I think there's just too much money being made in these nightclubs for
Yeah.
it to actually go back to like open dance floor, no bottle service.
I don't think the clubs can't survive without the bottle service.
Yep.
The rent in New York is too high, or the rent pretty much everywhere is too high, and they make too much money. You can't reverse that. And will DJing or booking DJs ever go back to just DJing? I would say no. You know, this generation and the way that society has changed, you know, your Instagram is your look. People will judge you with their eyes.
Right.
You know, it happens, but buyers or clients or whatever, they'll book with their eyes.
Yeah.
It's probably going to go, that's going to become the underground DJing scene, is where DJs get booked in these places where it's just
Has
about
to go
music.
somewhere.
But that's what it's going to be.
And I think that's an emerging market as well. It's like the Brooklyn warehouse parties, or like the
Yeah.
bang on parties. Like, you can barely see the DJ, never mind see his Instagram.
Yeah, like Brooklyn, like Williamsburg, like Verboten, and all
Yeah.
all these places. Like, there's no bottle service there.
Mm-mm.
Right.
And even like something like Verboten, like they ban like cell phones on the dance floor and stuff because they want people to focus on the music.
Yeah.
And that is something that's amazing.
Yep.
You want to take it back. It's actually being thrown around right now, but an idea of us throwing our own party. So I think specifically in New York City, there is a party that just doesn't exist where DJs go out to see other DJs. Like, I remember going to like APT on Mondays
Yep.
and seeing like Premiere or Stretch Armstrong or AM playing it and being like blown away. And that doesn't exist. And then we want to start a party that's actually fun, where people want to put their phone away, where people want to dance, where people
Right.
want to be there because they haven't heard this song, or they haven't heard this song in a while. Like, we play whatever we want. I don't have to play like the newest hip hop or the newest this or the newest that. I can kind of wild out and have some fun.
So what DJs do you go out to listen to now? Are
I
there
don't go
any-
out at all.
Well, what I'm saying, like when AM was alive, like everybody would congregate and go listen to him play.
Because he would push the envelope. Name a DJ that's really
Yeah,
doing that.
why isn't anyone pushing the envelope?
Everybody's scared.
Yep.
Because, you know, something that I remember experiencing this so long ago. It was at least 10 years ago. I was sitting in my apartment, and I got like a notification, and it was one of my YouTube videos, and it was one of my like scratching videos, which at that time I thought it was dope. And this guy was like, "Yo, you suck," or like this or that, and I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "That crab scratch was perfect." Duh. And I like commented back, you know, because I didn't know that like the whole troll and like none of that really existed yet.
Yeah.
And this one person who I never found out who was, it actually they said they were from Long Island, so I think it was like a hater from my teen night days. I see you. I see you. I see you.
Plenty of them.
I hope you're watching this interview. I didn't know how to what do you mean? Like I didn't know how to respond because it was like, you know, people feel strong behind like the message boards and stuff like that. And there's even like an instance right now where some singer almost committed suicide because of like social media like coming at her so heavy, but it's because everybody's so tough, hanging in the shadows behind the background of their phone.
Yeah, there's tons of critics.
You know, so I think that all circles back to people not really pushing the envelope because we really do live in like a negative society. Anything that's different is bad.
Yep.
And it is curtailing creativity so badly that music is really in the state of where it is. You know, most of music is not that great.
Right now, it's not.
It's not. You know, like records that are like supposedly like hit records, like if you can tell me what language that Rihanna song "Work" is in, I'll give you $100 because it's not English.
What about Panda?
Same, you know, it's a similar situation, but it's because people are being spoon-fed stuff that they think that they like or think is good, and anything that's different is bad, and it's killing creativity.
Yeah, but
So-
it's also so saturated though. I mean, there's 100 mixes of
Everything-
every song.
Every aspect of life is saturated. I mean, it's like we don't have 5 seconds to just be with ourselves, think. You can't even think anymore because there's so many notifications going off on your phone, texts, phone, you know,
You're right.
everything. It's being taken away from us. Like no one can get lost. You know, think of like where songwriters like used to really write songs. Like it doesn't exist anymore. You're constantly being like, hey, what are you doing?
They should have phone checks at every nightclub.
They should.
It's a great idea.
Or somebody can, like somehow there's like way to like, you know, block out the signal or
Yeah.
something like that. You know,
They have that.
there has to be.
Yeah.
Like for me to get anything done, I have to leave my phone in the other room
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's such a distraction.
just to focus, just to do anything.
Do you think that the open format style will ever come back?
I think it's coming back real hard right now. You know, everybody has talked about the EDM bubble bursting, and do I think it's ever really going to pop? No. You know, people will still pay to see Tiesto and Calvin Harris and Afrojack, and especially the more that they reach the masses, because they're like deep in the burbs. You know, it's like if my mom knows who Calvin Harris is, he's going to be around for a really long
Yeah.
time.
Do you think the sound is tired?
For sure, because EDM doesn't know where to go anymore. You know, and that's why genres are the greatest thing, and they are ghost. Future House it lasted maybe a year.
Yeah.
You know, and now Kygo and Tropical House, like it's like boom, 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 because the ADD and people's attention span is like ding, ding.
It's like a single lasts like a couple months now.
Yeah, nobody makes albums anymore.
No.
Why make you'd make more money off a ringtone than making an album.
But there is a house sound, like the 1994, 95 house sound
Coming back.
that's never left. It's like a whole scene.
Yeah.
There's like a whole scene that the people just don't bother with the EDM world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still going, and now it's evolving even more.
Yeah, for sure. Guys like Don Diablo, who have been producing for 20, 25
Yeah.
years, they're like emerging. Like they've
Yep,
been
like Sneak.
Mm-hmm.
Or even like Robin Schultz, though, he produces some really good stuff.
Yep.
Absolutely, and that's the deeper house stuff.
Yep.
I feel like deep house has never really gone away
No.
Yeah.
because it's not. I don't think it's a fad.
But
You
it's
know?
actually become a little mainstream now.
It has.
So
you
it's
know,
just going to be the
which
worst
some
thing that
people-
to
I
happen.
know, like,
right.
so that's why you got to like tread lightly on
Yeah.
that
Some
line,
people
because-
hate that. Anything that becomes mainstream usually dies,
Yeah.
which is not good. But deep house has like some seriously great roots.
But
I
it's
think it'll be
but
okay.
it's funny because like deep house, say like in the UK, could become like mainstream, but it's still like
But
cool.
deep house in the UK is on the radio.
Yeah, you
Right,
listen to the
but
radio,
that's what I'm saying.
and all there is deep house.
Right. You know. Whereas here, once it becomes mainstream,
Like once it
that's
hits 92.3 here, it's like that's it.
That's it. Call it. I delete it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really
over.
looking forward to hearing you DJ.
Thank you.
and especially on a platform like this where you can do whatever you want. You
Sweet.
know, that's why we built
I'm not
this
even
place.
gonna DJ. I'm just gonna dance.
No, you know, we built
could
this
dance
place
too.
because we
Nobody's
really
gonna judge.
want a
You're gonna
DJ to
judge.
come in here and just do whatever the hell he wants.
Great.
You know,
Honestly, I'm just gonna play records that I like and most of the ones that I know all the words to, and that's it.
awesome.
Are you going to sing to the camera?
Obviously.
Well, if you want to sing, let me know. I have to get you a mic that works.
Awesome.
All right, we're gonna take a 2-minute break, and then we're gonna get Chachi on the wheels, and that's it. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.